Now let's turn to Europe. European Union leaders are in Brussels. They're meeting to discuss Ukraine, funding to Ukraine. They've secured it. But it seems they've been ignoring a problem closer to home, the plight of European farmers. Farmers across the EU are angry and they've been protesting for weeks. Today they intercepted their leaders in Brussels.
First of all, we decided to come here to join with other kind of European young farmers to create a unique voice, not against, but with the cooperation of the European Parliament and the other kind of politics, because we'd like to safeguard our tradition, our farmers' mood, our quality of food, but to safeguard, in majority part of this kind of situation, the dignified incomes.
He spoke about cooperation, but tempers were running high. Hundreds set up their tractors in front of the European Parliament building. The police erected barriers to keep the farmers out, but the building was pelted with eggs instead. Some farmers lit bonfires and fireworks. They set tires, cardboard boxes and hay ablaze. The police rushed to douse the flames and ended up hosing the protesting farmers as well. This led to even more anger. The farmers tried to tear down the barricades. They clashed with the police. A statue was toppled. It was pure chaos. This is what happens when leaders do not listen. For weeks now, farmers have been protesting across Europe, in Belgium, Germany, Italy, Spain, Portugal, and especially France. Farmers in every corner of the EU are angry.
Because we are protesting today against so many rules from Europe. It's too many for doing a normal farming.
They're angry at EU regulations, angry at the loss of subsidies, and angry at cheap imports unfairly undercutting their livelihoods. The European Union has strict regulations when it comes to food quality, and the farmers have to adhere to this. And that is expensive. And green regulations add to this. The EU wants to reduce the environmental impact of farming, the greenhouse gas emissions, soil erosion, and the rest. Adhering to all these green rules also adds to the cost of farming. Farmers do get some subsidies to keep their overheads down, but some EU members wanted to reduce these subsidies. Germany and France wanted to cut the subsidy on agricultural diesel, for example. That is what sparked the protests in these countries. It led to an outpouring of pent-up anger because these farmers say they're being undermined. They adhere to the expensive EU rules, but their nations import food from elsewhere. One example is grain from Ukraine. Another is genetically modified corn from the Americas. European farmers feel let down by their own governments. They feel penalized for following the rules. And that anger and sorrow was on display in Brussels today. The European leaders say that they understand.
And I'd be among one of quite a number of heads of government here who understand the pressures that our farmers are under, whether it's increased energy costs or fertiliser costs, new environmental regulations. It's kind of been layer on layer for farmers. We can't have a situation whereby we impose environmental regulations on farmers and then allow imports from countries that don't have those same regulations. That wouldn't be fair.
But talk is cheap. The EU needs to do better by their farmers, find a balance between environment and livelihood, protect farmers from unfair competition and make farming viable again. If they do not, today's protest could just be the beginning.